Why is sacrifice important in a relationship? What do you think? Well, it is important in a relationship. We're going to be talking about that in this video. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about relationships, communication, self-government, family bonding. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some key things that you need to understand about sacrifice and about relationships. And I'm going to make a pretty bold claim too, something that you might not have thought of before. I'm going to start with my bold claim. So what is my bold claim? My bold claim is that a person actually doesn't really have a relationship if they won't sacrifice for the person. Think about it. Sacrifice is vital to a relationship. If you won't sacrifice for another person, then you are only thinking of that person as someone you can use for yourself. You're thinking, what can that person do for me? You're taking a consumer mindset. That means that you're exploiting another person. But if you truly want a good relationship with them, then that changes everything. That means that you have to employ some other characteristics, and sacrifice is one of those. So what does sacrifice do for our relationships? Let's go to that place. Sacrifice acknowledges that the other person has value. It also acknowledges our own value. So if we are willing to do something simply because it makes another person happy, or simply because that other person has a need and has asked us to help fulfill that need, then we are acknowledging that that person is valuable enough to us that we will spend some of our time, some of our energy, maybe even some of our talents to help them. We see that that person helps us just by the sheer fact of their existence, that they're that important to us. We also see that we are important, that we have value in their lives, that we can do things that make the world a better place. Sacrifice changes our interactions. It turns us into people who are together on a journey, people who are supporting and loving each other, instead of people who just want stuff to get done or get to an end goal, which in the end oftentimes just goes back to our own selfishness and our anxieties. Before I get to my next points and we talk about why it's sometimes hard to sacrifice in a relationship, hit that subscribe button. You will not want to miss the videos on this channel, so subscribe now. Why is it hard to sometimes sacrifice in a relationship? Well, because we become offended. Because we start thinking of everything through our own lens. So this makes us feel like we're entitled to certain treatment. Should we make sure that we respect ourselves and help other people respect ourselves? Absolutely. But are people perfect? No, they're not. Are they going to make mistakes almost every time they open their mouth? Oh yes, absolutely. When I film these videos, I make mistakes all the time and have to go back and redo a statement just because it didn't come out exactly like I'd like it for you. Keep that in mind. People make mistakes with their words. It's just part of being human. So we need to not take it personally, okay? When we start taking other people's mistakes personally, we start feeling like we deserve, then we stop thinking of them as someone to serve. Service is something that needs to be learned. People have to be trained and taught that service is okay. In fact, if you want a person to show more sacrifice in their relationships, they need to be in the habit of serving other people willingly. This is something that hopefully they learned when they were young, but if not, there is a way to change it. In fact, you can tell yourself the right things in your mind. So my home has multiple levels in it, and when somebody is clearing the basement and they're saying, "Mom," the first thing that goes through my mind is, oh, I don't want to go through all the effort of going all the way down the stairs to that person and talking to them about the problem right now. I'm in the middle of something. But because I prepared ahead of time not to think those thoughts immediately, as soon as the first pang of that thought comes into my head, I think I told myself that I would walk to them. I can't teach them or help them unless I put in the effort and the sacrifice to walk to them. And then I tell myself sacrifice is healthy. Sacrifice is love. And so then I serve them by going to them and helping them with whatever they need. We've got to change our mindset, and then we become better at sacrificing for our relationships. When a person sacrifices in a relationship, they are actually showing that they have gratitude for the person. This is the opposite of selfishness. So this also means if you're having a hard time sacrificing in your relationship, you probably ought to create a habit of gratitude. You ought to decide, I am grateful for that person because. The moment you start feeling selfish, catch yourself, stop yourself, change the thought, and decide to be grateful for that other person. Now, I want to be clear about something. When we talk about sacrifice, people often feel like, well, I shouldn't have to sacrifice. I shouldn't have to be walked on by that person. They don't care about me. They're a narcissist. They're, fill in the blank, which there are people who are narcissists, who don't care, who maybe trample all over other people. Should we be doormats? No, we should not be doormats. We should absolutely discuss with a person if there is a problem with treatment, if there is something they don't understand, and a way that you would prefer that they change their interactions with you. There are ways to do that. That's not what this video is about, but I just wanted to be clear that I understand there are some people in different situations. This video is about you and your heart. What if you were in a prison and your jailer who was mean to you was the only other person that you had contact with ever? Could you still sacrifice for them? Is your heart that soft, that open, that caring? Can you love someone that doesn't love you back? Because if you can, you change your own life. But if you can't, then you create a world of problems that swirls around inside your head, and it follows you everywhere. If you want good relationships, even if the other person doesn't behave as if they want good relationships with you, change your heart, change the way that you see them, and change the way that you see yourself too. If you've liked this video, I know you'll love my next video, which also has a lot to do with what we do inside our own heads. This video is called The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success. Click on the link to that video, and I'll see you there.